So he's escorted somewhere, right? He's removed from his cell and he's escorted somewhere. They bring him back into his cell, right? They open up the door. He's being escorted back into his room. They open the door and they put him in the room and he just falls down. So his roommate, Fincari Lopez, he gets up and he sees like, damn, they just dropped the dead man off in my room. What? All right, welcome to the Convict Podcast, folks. I'm your host, Moliere Dimanche, and guys, I know folks is not happy with me right now because of my new schedule and how I'm not posting like I used to. But I'm a one-man army, okay? I'm doing so much different things alone that, you know, my time is being divided amongst 1,000,001 different things, and it's only me, okay? I don't know if you guys know how hard graphic designing is when you're dealing with CGI and VFX and how time consuming that stuff is. I operate out of Cinema 4D, right? Now, take a look at this. This clip right here, it's only a few seconds. It was a test of a 3D environment that I did as I'm bringing my art to life for my film project. For these quick little couple of seconds that you're seeing in rendering and in 3D animation, that took about 2 weeks to do. And just for those couple of seconds, and rendering costs a lot of money, okay? And you know, I'm putting my own money behind this. I'm putting my own time behind this, my own resources. It's 100% me, no help. So I have 10 hours worth of film to produce, okay? And that's just an animation. That's without any of the other components that comes to producing a quality film. So I'm tired up. Now, I'm gonna be honest. I started playing Breath of the Wild, the best video game known to mankind. I didn't know that the game was that awesome, but that was pretty time consuming too. I granted myself a little vacation, and I found a getaway that was very relaxing, you know, playing this video game. And I'm still playing it, but I did, most of I accomplished just about everything you can accomplish in that game. So I'm wrapping that up. So now in the free time I did have where I wasn't, freeing my mind, I can come back and start posting more regularly because there's a lot of stuff I want to talk about, folks. I typically stick to prison news, but man, like there's been some stories coming out in social media that's just outright unbelievable. You know what I mean? And I found myself thinking yesterday, I'm like, man, over the course of a couple of years, you may be able to make things as peaceful as possible with regard to the incarceration epidemic, right? But what happens when that's over? If you're somebody that's striving for world peace, which I am, you want to solve all the problems. And there was some stuff popping up this week that blew my mind, like to where it was like, wow, now I have to help these people. You know what I mean? It's unreal how many groups of people suffer in this world and how easy it is to fix these problems. You know what I mean? I'm gonna do another segment that's gonna clarify some points. I want to have a specific conversation about the haves and the have-nots in this world and closing the wealth gap. If you want to, achieve world peace in an instant, close the wealth gap. Problem solved. You're gonna watch all of the problems we have with racism and oppression, and you're gonna see everything evaporate if you just close the damn wealth gap. And It's not hard to do, folks. But there's so many topics I want to discuss, and I'm gonna start venturing out into non-prison news, because there's some things that need to be we need to apply some direction to a lot of the things that's happening in the world. And if my insight can help solve some of these problems, I'm gonna go there. So today's segment is gonna be about inmate James Cooper. Now, here we go again. Back to Suwannee again. Now, you guys already know what my verdict is on Suwannee Correctional Institution. It was a death farm under Chris Landrum. Now, if you watch the Suwannee CI Exposed segment, you remember a woman that I named in there named Nancy Crawford. This is gonna be about an inmate who died on her watch. One of the multiple inmates who died on her watch. So James Cooper, this is how the whole thing just started, you know what I mean? Now remember, there's been a few where these inspectors, they'll type up these reports that allege how an inmate there was just a cell extraction. They just up and cell extracted somebody, knowing damn well you have to go through the chemical agents. Right? They leave out all of the preliminary stuff and get straight to the moment of death without talking about what led up to the moment of death, just leaving the cause of death out. So this is another such case. Now, G-Dorm was where I was housed at when I was on CM at Suwannee. And that was where, I seen all of the new Jim Crow lynchings with them beating the inmates, gassing the inmates, slamming inmates on the neck, and knocking out teeth, and all of that brutal crap. And this is where James Cooper died. Well, it's a little strange because James Cooper, just check this out. So he's escorted somewhere, right? He's removed from his cell and he's escorted somewhere. They bring him back into his cell, right? They open up the door. He's being escorted back into his room. They open the door and they put him in the room and he just falls down. So his roommate, Fincari Lopez, he gets up and he sees like, damn, they just dropped the dead man off in my room. What? So, he starts kicking the door and he lets them know, something just happened to this man. So they come and they get the man and they say, okay, now they're trying to make it look like he died in his cell and now they have to extract him out. So they take him out of the cell and, they notify the Office of the Inspector General, FDLE, and all these people. They take this man out of his room. They search the room. And guess what they find? Some batteries and some staples. They might have planted this stuff, but they went in and they found some batteries and some staples. And you know what they were trying to do with that? They were trying to make this look like a K2 overdose. He didn't test positive for no K2 when they did the toxicology reports. He wasn't smoking K2. So they coerced his cellmate into saying that he was a habitual smoker of K2. They put that in the report that the cellmate says, yeah, he's known for smoking K2. They don't have any evidence of no K2, but they found it necessary to put that man's statement in there. You know what I mean? It's like, if that didn't have nothing to do with the death, why is it even in the report? You know what I'm saying? So they take some hearsay stuff about this man's reputation and put it in this report, saying that his roommate said that he was a habitual smoker of K2. That could have even been a lie, but they took this hearsay from his roommate, which they probably forced him into saying, and put it into the report. Didn't even find no K2 in the system, no K2 in the room or nothing. So the officers, they escort him out. He's fine and well. He comes back in the room and he just drops dead. What do you think happened? You guys have been reading the book. It's the save a life process. They pulled him out, shackled him up, leg irons, waist chains, black box, picked him up, slammed him on his neck, and killed this man. They lied to him, said he had a medical call out and everything else. Now, they didn't bother to see if there was a medical call out, if there was a doctor in the dorm waiting on him. They didn't bother to do none of that. So they take this man out of his cell, most likely saved his life, slammed him on his neck, and then just threw him back in the room, and he collapsed on the floor. So what I found very, very odd about this case is that they took him somewhere. They don't say where they took him, but they put him on life support. And while he was on life support, they had already made the decision to pull the plug on him. So something happened to him between him being taken out of his cell and him being thrown back in there on the floor. Something happened to where he suffered a fatal injury, because they wherever they took him, if it was a hospital or the medical unit or whatever, he was taken there on April 28th, and they weren't sure when they were going to pull the plug on him. So they also note in this report that Captain Nancy Crawford called them with an update about what escorting staff had to say about it. So that they redacted so much stuff out of this report, but you got to read between the lines. When they say escorting staff had an update, that means escorting staff is the reason that this happened to them. Otherwise, they wouldn't even have to be involved in this. So this Inspector Bates, he's allowing them to change their story now. Captain Crawford, they come up with a story, and then they contact the inspector and says, also he slipped and fell and landed on his neck. So they call him with an update on this, and they changed their story, apparently. So then on May 2nd, they decide to pull the plug. They didn't know when they were going to terminate him, but whatever they did to him, it took 4 days for them to decide to pull the plug. They had already decided in advance they were going to do it. They just didn't know when. So they pulled the plug on him on May 2nd, and he's deceased. And the medical examiner determines this whole thing was an accident. Now, there was a subject officer involved, but they redacted that officer's name. I have an idea who that might have been, but I don't have any proof of that because they redacted the name out. So they pulled the plug on him, and then they just transfer him to a funeral home and send him home in a body bag to his family. Very mysterious circumstances. So, Nancy Crawford, she was a wicked woman. Like, gassing people was nothing to her. You know what I mean? Letting officers, like, man, it's just crazy. But, in the Suwannee CI segment, you got a glimpse into, how she dealt with one of the guys who survived the terror at Suwannee. You got an inside look at it. That stuff is public record. And it didn't surprise me at all because I've seen so much of this stuff with my own eyes. You know what I mean? So James Cooper, he's taken out of his cell, brought back to his cell, and thrown back. My guess is that they broke his neck, drug him up to the cell and threw him in the room. And then his roommate was like, what the hell? Y'all not finna blame this on me. So he starts kicking the door and he tells them to come get him. They take him out, leave him on life support for 4 days, pull the plug. So that's how James Cooper went out, folks. Another one. I have a lot of these that I want to go through, but like I said, I'm fighting. I'm trying to put out 1,000 different wildfires. Now, another thing. For my viewers who've been contacting me about helping you guys out with cases for your loved ones and all of this stuff, probably tomorrow I'm gonna do a special on unlawful convictions, right? Now, I'm honored that you guys respect my legal prowess. You guys are trusting me to give you the right answers. But the thing is this, On top of me having a million and one things to do, I'm gonna get to, all of the people who sent them to me first. But, I've been getting them from all over the country, like people who watch my podcast. And, people are they're sending me these files and they're saying, look, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And it's gotten to the point where I have over 60 cases. You know what I mean? Now, these cases, it's imperative that I get to them. But with 60 and so much stuff, when you go over, legal documents, especially if you're doing post-conviction proceedings or anything civil, you don't want to miss a beat. And I literally have thousands upon thousands of pages that I have to read. You know what I mean? And I do this all for free. But the thing is, with so many, it's gonna be hard to get back to everyone as quickly as possible. So what I decided to do is I'm going to start a nonprofit organization. And hopefully I can, grab a couple paralegals and pull them onto my team and have them help me sift through this stuff. Because there are people being wrongfully convicted all the time. There are people who should not be in prison today. You know what I mean? And you guys know I was sentenced to 10 years in prison. And the special I'm gonna do, I'm gonna tell you guys why I went to prison, how the convict became the convict, folks. I'm gonna actually go into everything that happened with me before I got locked up and everything, and you're gonna see it's clear as day. It's an uphill battle when you're fighting unlawful convictions. I recently found out about the Conviction Integrity Unit, and I actually submitted an application to the state attorney here in Orlando, and they don't even give you a receipt, an acknowledgement of receipt. You know what I mean? They got that thing set up to where they can deny that you even submitted an application. But in my case, I did 10 years in prison for one, not only something I didn't do, but something I wasn't even charged with. Like, I went to prison for something I was not charged with. Like, imagine you steal a car, right? And the jury doesn't find you guilty of stealing that car, but the judge says, okay, well, I think you stole a candy bar. I'm gonna send you to prison for that. It's like, hold up, I wasn't on trial for stealing no candy bar. You know what I mean? That's what happened to me. So I'll explain all of that stuff, and even me, I'm still fighting to get that conviction off of my record, because I mean, you guys know how that go. I mean, the government's not gonna admit to, sending me to prison for 10 years, especially with my reputation and my history. They're not gonna admit to any wrongdoing for none of that. So I have to show you guys the legal remedies that are available, and I want to put everything at your fingertips so that you don't have to wait on lawyers or be preyed upon by lawyers who's going to steal your money, or you don't have to wait for me to have some free time and I'm trying to juggle a million things. I want to put the resources at your fingertips and allow you guys to do it at your leisure with the right weapons, so that there are options. You know what I mean? So I'm going to put something together on that, and I'm going to demonstrate that for you guys. But yeah, matter of fact, if you go to the Orange County Clerk of Court's website, they show that I went to prison for a grand theft second degree, which is less than $100,000, but more than $20,000. I wasn't convicted of that. But there's a reason they can't change it. It's because, it was an unlawful conviction all around the board. I'll give you guys a scoop on that, but that's what shows up. I've never been found guilty. That's not on my record. I have a bunch of charges, but that's not on my record. I haven't been convicted of that, but that's what's on their file. And it's been there for 13 years. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna definitely give you guys the rundown on that, because the time has come for us to do everything ourselves, folks. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna make sure that you guys have the right weapons. And before I put it out there, I want to make sure that it's going to be effective, and that, you know, whenever you're ready, you can free your loved one. Whenever you're ready, you can make sure that due process is served, and that they're not sending us to prison anymore for things that we really did not do. So, you know, keep that in mind. Even the convict, I have it's just such a mess with my situation. Went to prison for something I wasn't even charged with, folks. I mean, literally, I was like, I did not get arrested for this. I was not on trial for this. The jury did not return a verdict, but guess what? My judge, Alicia L. Lattimore, sent me to prison for it. So I'll wait till you get the scoop on that. I'll probably be dropping a segment no later than once a week. I can probably guarantee you guys that. My schedule's been freed up now that I done beat Breath of the Wild, so I'll be posting a little more frequently. So get ready for the next one.